We all know that Kingdom Hearts will in fact have an endpoint, but I think one thing fans are wondering is whether there will be anything that follows the conclusion of the main saga. And because Disney is one of the co owners of the Kingdom Hearts series, there could be a chance that we do get something else outside of the main story. Not necessarily an entirely new story, but maybe some addendums that may keep the overall franchise going. So, based on what we've observed with other famous franchises, perhaps the answer to the question, what happens when a saga ends, will be a bit more nuanced than expected for the Kingdom Hearts series. Welcome back, y'all. This is your girl, Empowered Muse, and today we're going to talk about what could happen after the end of the Kingdom Hearts series, and if there's even a possibility that Kingdom Hearts has an after the end addendum. So, after Director Nomura's interview with Young Jump, in which he described his next arc of Kingdom Hearts, the Lost Master arc, as basically the beginning of the end of the series overall, I became curious about whether there could be the potential for other types of Kingdom Hearts media to take place either as the video game series ends or even after. And one comparison that I wanted to explore was just how Kingdom Hearts might continue if it took on something similar to what Star Wars did with this franchise after its main series, which consisted of 9 films. So we'll be looking at mainly the Star Wars films and TV shows that wound up being canon to the main story to compare it to what we have in the Kingdom Hearts series and what's to come. It's understood that the main saga of the Kingdom Hearts series is more than just the Dark Seeker saga. When we look at the Kingdom Hearts timeline chronologically, we can actually see that the Kingdom Hearts series has a prequel that's the Key Saga, which is Key, Unchained, Union Cross, Dark Road, and Missing Link, which is the upcoming title of the Key Saga. Then it has the original series that chronologically starts at Birth by Sleep, and then goes from Kingdom Hearts 1 all the way to Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind, which includes the non-numbered titles like Chain of Memories, Dream Drop Distance, Days, and Fragmentary. And now it's in the midst of its sequel series where I included Melody of Memory, but will also include Kingdom Hearts 4 and any game that comes after 4. So depending on just how the Lost Master arc is written, there's an opportunity for the sequel series era of Kingdom Hearts to really expand the story. Additionally, with the Lost Master arc bringing in elements and concepts from the prequel era of mainly Union Cross and Missing Link, I think the real apex of the Kingdom Hearts series will take place in this next arc, especially because we're dealing with the Master of Masters, who has essentially been around since close to the beginning chronologically. And so I think we'll likely get our main resolution as it applies to the greater interactions of light and darkness, as well as Sora's ultimate fate in the Kingdom Hearts series and the Lost Master arc. And much like Kingdom Hearts, Star Wars was organized pretty similarly with its main saga, although it did set up its saga in multiple sets of trilogies over the years. So we basically see the original trilogy of episodes 4, 5, and 6 before we see the prequel trilogy of 1, 2, and 3. However, much like the timing of the Lost Master arc in the Kingdom Hearts series, the sequel trilogy of 7, 8, and 9 takes place several years after the conclusion of the original and prequel trilogies. Yet the sequel trilogy still adheres to the story of the Skywalker saga of Anakin, Luke, and Rey. Moreover, much like the Kingdom Hearts series is mainly centered around Sora's story, the main series of Star Wars is mainly centered around the Skywalkers. And by the time the sequel series of Star Wars was coming out, episode 9 of the series was even being promoted as the final chapter in the main saga. And so, much like the Rise of Skywalker marked the natural end to the main saga of Star Wars with Anakin, Luke, and Rey's journey, wrapping up at the end of episode 9, and Rey taking on the name Skywalker and becoming a Jedi Master herself, perhaps we can expect something similar towards the end of the Lost Master arc if and when we get answers to some pivotal questions like who is the Master of Masters, will Sora be able to return home, and will he even be recognized as a true Keyblade Master? So I think both Kingdom Hearts and Star Wars have this unique setting in which they both chronicle the rise, fall, and redemption of their main set of characters or lineages. Perhaps even in the broader sense, Kingdom Hearts actually chronicles the rise, fall, and redemption of Keyblade wielders in the Key Saga, Dark Seeker Saga, and the Lost Master arc, much like Star Wars chronicles the rise, fall, and redemption of the Skywalker lineage. But this brings about the main question of what comes after the Lost Master arc in the Kingdom Hearts franchise. While the end of the Lost Master arc will likely be the series' natural end, is there a chance that because the story of Kingdom Hearts has primarily been told through video games and mobile games, that additional addendums or anthologies could be told through other mediums? Of course, director Nomura hasn't addressed this at all, but if there is a chance that he's willing to sign off on certain expansions in partnership with Disney, then we might get a Kingdom Hearts expansion into other media forms like movies, television, or anime shows, or even additional manga series. And it could be the case that these expansions may or may not be canon to the original Kingdom Hearts story. However, if they did wind up being canon, then it wouldn't necessarily come in the form of a sequel to the Lost Master arc, but rather in the form of additional stories that may have taken place during the Dark Seeker saga or the Key saga. Perhaps a form of media that could explain what the Master of Masters was up to during Xehanort's rise in the Dark Seeker saga. So with Star Wars, we've already seen this with Disney's push towards new stories like The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka. And in these expansions, we're seeing that there's really no clear central protagonist in these new works, but rather these shows and movies focus on multiple timelines and new characters in the Star Wars universe. But let's talk about and compare how the general fan base for both of these series have reacted or could react to the evolution of these series. Starting with Kingdom Hearts, a lot of people had mixed reactions about the resolution of the Dark Seeker saga in Kingdom Hearts 3, and the decision to have a lot of the lore-heavy games in the prequel series like Union Cross and Missing Link platformed as mobile phone games as opposed to regular console games. And while hindsight is showing to be 2020 and that more people have warmed up to Kingdom Hearts 3's story, I think there's still some trepidation over how the Lost Master arc will be, especially in relation to incorporating Disney worlds and stories into this new arc. Now, for the record, I definitely don't think this is reflective of the majority of the fan base at all, and there are a lot of fans who are really looking forward to the new direction that Kingdom Hearts 4 and the Lost Master arc is headed in. I think, if anything, a lot of fans are just very impatient for any crumb of the new game's updates at this point, since they were announced almost 3 years ago now. And with Kingdom Hearts 4 looking a lot more realistic, there are some fans who are wondering just how Disney could fit in that setting going forward. But I think there's definitely an argument that a lot of these Disney elements can still be present, as they had been in previous games. It'll just likely be the case that Kingdom Hearts 4 will comparatively see fewer Disney worlds because of the story taking place in Quadratum. With Star Wars, it seems that the reactions to these newer stories taking place have been pretty split. While you have some who are enjoying the new stories of The Mandalorian and Endor, others feel that ever since Disney took over the franchise, there's really no clear plan for the future of the franchise. Additionally, the final chapter of the main series, The Rise of Skywalker, actually didn't do too well at the box office, and the movie faced quite a bit of criticism. So because of the box office backlash of The Rise of Skywalker with very middling reviews, this actually took a lot of wind out of the faith fans may have had in the new Star Wars film and media. So based on what we've seen with the Star Wars franchise, there is this question of whether Kingdom Hearts would risk a similar sense of fatigue if the franchise did continue outside of the medium of video games. I think the fanbase overall really treasure the Kingdom Hearts story, but if there is a chance that anthologies and addendums could be added through other media forms, would that risk this eventual sense of exhaustion or sense of being lost in the Kingdom Hearts franchise? Going back to Star Wars, we actually have to ask the additional question of whether a franchise that started in another medium can survive off of mainly TV. For Star Wars specifically, we're looking at a franchise that started in the movies and moved to TV, but created this sense of theatrical uncertainty, especially off of the lukewarm reception to The Rise of Skywalker. That said, a lot of fans do seem to enjoy the stories of Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and Andor once they get into the series. However, at this point, it's hard to predict how much stronger the Star Wars franchise can and will survive off a TV series on Disney+. For Kingdom Hearts, this would be new territory to explore if there is a chance that the franchise allows for an expanded universe after the main story's conclusion. And because the Kingdom Hearts series started in the medium of video games, it may be easier to move the franchise to the likes of TV and/or an anime show without the concerns of box office health like Star Wars. That said, this possibility is something that I think rests primarily with director Nomura and what his wishes for the series are once the video game series ends and he retires from Square Enix. The main advantage Kingdom Hearts has in rebuilding the hype off the heels of Kingdom Hearts 3 and Remine is that as a video game series, it's constantly being innovated based on new developments within the gaming industry. Additionally, because incorporating Disney IPs is a big part of the series, there are multiple opportunities to integrate newer Disney IPs with the new lore that will be in the Lost Master arc. This formula almost fully guarantees the retention of longtime fans as well as the attraction of new fans to the series over the next few years. The main concern facing the Kingdom Hearts series now is really the length of time waiting for the new arc to begin, which kicks off with the release of Kingdom Hearts 4. But if and when it comes time for the Kingdom Hearts franchise to move to other forms of media, there's definitely a chance that it will also have to face this balancing act of blending nostalgia with innovation, depending on the directions in which the newer forms of media would go. While I do think the Kingdom Hearts franchise would enjoy quite the novelty effect if it did in fact move to a medium like television, there would still be this feeling that certain legacy elements would have to be honored in order for these new forms of media to be considered successful. However, I do think this feature of balancing nostalgia with innovation is a bit more difficult with Star Wars just because the series has been around for almost 50 years. With Star Wars, there's the balance of honoring legacy elements such as Jedi lore and the Force while exploring uncharted territories in these newer shows. So while Star Wars has been able to keep up with the innovation, I think there is this concern to make sure the nostalgic piece isn't tampered with too much. When it comes to narrative cohesion, I do think that Kingdom Hearts is in a more vulnerable state than we're used to because it now has the task of aligning the Lost Master arc with established lore not only from the Darkseeker saga, but also from the Key saga. Moreover, because certain elements of the Key saga now appear to be especially pivotal to the Lost Master arc, I think there is a goal to make sure that the Lost Master arc can fully align with these established lore pieces without truly becoming a convoluted series. Additionally, there is the question of if Kingdom Hearts does in fact move on to mediums of TV and movies, then will other creators become involved with those projects outside of director Nomura? If it is the case that Kingdom Hearts moves into the TV or movie realm with an entirely new director, then that would bring about the concern of narrative cohesion throughout the franchise, especially if these projects become canon for the Kingdom Hearts series. Meanwhile, the growth of the Star Wars franchise brought forth multiple creators working on these different media projects, thus creating the bigger challenge of coordination in order to ensure that the franchise maintains a cohesive storyline across film and TV series. It might be the shift in the Star Wars franchise that factored into the more split reactions from fans over time. So while we don't really know if Kingdom Hearts will continue in some form after the main series conclusion, we do have some example of how that could look from the perspective of the Star Wars franchise. While I do think there is a fairly solid argument that would support the Kingdom Hearts franchise moving to other forms of media, whether those forms are canon to the main story or not would definitely rely on further conversations with director Nomura. And we see from the Star Wars franchise that there is both risk and reward in going beyond the main saga to explore additional narratives. As for the future of Kingdom Hearts and even Star Wars, the success of these new directions hinges on balancing respect for established lore with innovative storytelling that resonates with both existing fans and new audiences. But I want to hear from you, so let me know what you think about the future of Kingdom Hearts after the Lost Master arc in the comments below. And as always, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoyed this video and want to watch more Kingdom Hearts content. And if you know anyone who may have questions about what to expect for the Kingdom Hearts series, be sure to share this video. Again, special thanks to the Marsha Caprice team for allowing me to be a part of this event. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you next time.